Hello, and thank you for coming to today's webinar. I'm Dr. Janet Six. I'm Senior Product Manager here at Tom Sawyer Software, and today we're going to talk about the graph drawings available in Tom Sawyer Perspectives. But first, let's talk a little bit about what Perspectives is. Perspectives is a SDK and low-code development platform for graph visualization and analysis applications. The Perspectives has integrated design and preview interfaces and extensive API libraries that allow developers to quickly create custom applications that intuitively solve big problems. So quickly, how do we do that? Perspectives, first of all, can connect to many types of data sources. These data sources can be graph databases, SQL databases, RESTful endpoints, JSON, or even an Excel file, as well as other types of data sources. We bring all of the data together into a federated native graph model. Then we can do processing of that data through filters and applications of rules. And then we quickly create applications which are customized to your use case. And these applications can have interactive views of several different types as we see here, and also have analysis as well. So today we're going to focus on the types of graph drawings that are available in Perspectives. So first of all, it would be good to talk a little bit about what are graph drawings. So graph drawings help you navigate through the complexities of big data by visually representing complex relationships and patterns in your data so you can uncover hidden insights and make informed decisions. So how do we do this? Graphs can be thought of as nodes and things that connect nodes or edges. But actually, when it comes to visualizing a graph, there's more to it than what are the nodes and what are the edges. And this is the part that graph drawings is going to help us with. Graph drawings are used in perspectives by providing a geometric data model that is used to render the elements on the screen. So the perspectives data structures take account of node shapes and sizes, things like connectors. Sometimes you need to connect an edge to a certain place on a node. Also has labels and subgraphs because you can actually place a whole graph inside a node, as we see here. And by the way, you can also place a graph inside an edge as well. So perspectives takes these parts of the information in the data structure and combines it with the layout algorithms in order to create the visualization like you see here. So this ability to combine high precision layout algorithms with this geometric data model produces the advanced types of visualization for complex data and complex problems. So let's take a look at graph drawings in action. So we're going to take several looks at those, and then here shortly, we're going to go ahead and add nested drawings to an existing application so you can see how that is done. Okay, so first we're going to look at our model-based engineering application. And by the way, you can find um, these several of these demonstrations on our website, tomsawyer.com. So what we're looking at here is a part of the model which defines an automobile. And so let's zoom in here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more for us. So you can see that there is a size and shape to the nodes. And you'll see also here in this case that we have connectors, or sometimes they're called ports, these special place where you attach the edges to the node. You also see things like the label for the node. You also see labels for edges as well. And then we have these edge decorations. In this case, we're using some triangles, which are representing flow in our model, and those can have labels as well. And you'll see here that we have a couple of other special items first of all, the connector can grow as needed in order to handle the number of edges coming into it. And we can do special type of rendering. Like for example, we have a special bus node, so we're able to give that a special geometric representation. So these types of details are fed automatically to our layout techniques. So they will take care of those requirements of the nodes, the sizes, and connectors, and so on. Okay, now let's see this a little bit more in action. So we are looking here at the internal combustion engine node. So this is part of a car, but we know there's more to the story, right? There's got to be some more information about the engine. So let's go ahead and select that node, and we're going to do a right click, and we're going to open the context menu, and we're going to say expand selected. Show me what's inside the internal combustion engine. And so in place, we're able to expand a graph inside a node. And in fact, you can do that to many levels as well with perspectives. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and look at a second example. We're going to look here at our microwave antenna network. And so we have an application that we have running here. We're looking at several um, antennas which are connected with each other. We can see not only the automated placement of those nodes and the edges, but you'll see that the edges have routing and they have bends. All of that type of geometric information is automatically handled in perspectives. You can also see here that we have the visualization of edge crossings with jump overs, so you can easily see those as well. And then, like we saw in the MBE example, the model-based engineering example, you also have the ability to label elements as we've done here as well. Okay. Now, let's add a layer of information here. Let's zoom out. And we want to know the backbone of this network. So how do we determine that? Well, one of the ways that we can determine that is to apply a data-driven analysis. So we're going to, in this case, apply a clustering analysis. And so you see here how the colors of the nodes have changed. And so the nodes that have the same color are determined in a data-driven way to be very close to each other in the network. And so that can be useful for us to know when we want to see a high-level view of the network or have a deeper understanding of what's more connected to which other parts of the network. So what we're going to do is that for all of the nodes that are of the same color, we want to put them into a nested drawing. So let's do that. So I'm going to come over here to my tree. I'm going to go to the settings over here, and I'm going to say group by cluster. And we're going to refresh our layout. And so now we have many nested drawings inside those nodes that represent the cluster. Let's go ahead and take a deeper look. So for example, we see here that we have this yellow cluster and we can see which elements were labeled as yellow in that clustering algorithm. And one of the interesting points here is that we do have that information of the categorization in this case, that we're keeping track of which nodes are in which particular cluster, but we don't lose any detail of what's happening in the network. So meaning that if there is an edge between an element in one nested drawing to an element in another nested drawing, you can still see all of those edges with the full details, labels, bends, all of that as well. All right, so now let's zoom out because one of the reasons that we applied clustering was in order to see the backbone of the network. So how do we do that? So we can choose any of these clusters and we can say collapse all. And so now there we are. We had a data-driven way in order to see the backbone of the network, or the very high-level view of what's going on in this communications network. And we can go ahead and interactively expand in place the elements of each cluster. So you can do that interactively, like we're doing here. And also, we do have customers who want to automate this as well. So you can automate which clusters are open or not. So we were looking at um, uh, these child drawings getting expanded in place interactively. But sometimes you want to see just the elements in that child drawing. So we can do that as well. So we can pick any of our nested drawings and we can say, go to child. So we can drill in to a particular child drawing and look at just that if we want. And so this type of nesting can be done to many levels in your visualizations. So here shortly, we're going to look at how to add nested drawings to an application. All right, so now we're going to take another example using graph drawings, and that's with our supply chain. So we're going to take a little look here of all the elements which come together and form a pen. And so we can see the different elements, we can see the dependencies between them, and you also see that we have a labeling as well to help us understand what's happening in our supply chain. Now let's do a little bit of what if analysis. Let's say that this plastic element, and you'll see how our views are synchronized. So as soon as I clicked on this, it showed me that element in this table down here below. But let's get back to the graph drawings. Okay, so let's say that the factory where the plastic element is created burns down. So now this element is not available anymore from that factory. So we're going to come down here to the inspector and the left bottom corner here, and we're going to take that production value from 5,000 down to 0. And you see how the visualization automatically updated. We have a problem here in this chain. So let's explore the problem a bit more. So the first thing that we can do is that we can focus on just the problem part of the chain. So we can look at just that. But now we can also zoom out and understand more how our whole enterprise is affected. So how are we going to do that? Let's go to the location interactions, which show us where certain elements are physically located. So we see that that plastic element is from a factory in Italy. So we can expand this and we can see which factory is it that is affected. And we can expand everything here in our location interaction visualization. And now we can see here in red all of the problems in all of our chains across the enterprise. So that ability to have geometric information for the graph helps us convey this more complex level of information. Okay, now we're going to take a look at one more example, and that's with our network editor. And so we have here a computer network. And let's just take a quick look here at our application. We have over here, we have a couple of different trees that are to show us which elements are in the system. Over here, we can see information that acts as a legend about the load on our system. Over here, we have the network itself. And so let me zoom in here a little bit. So we can see the different kind of elements and how they're connected to each other in the network. Now, this drawing over here is a little bit different. This is showing us the schema of the network. So what's allowed to be connected in our network. So for example, a phone needs to go through a router and a laptop needs to go through a router, for example, to be connected. And then over here, in addition to our visualization of the network, we also have tables with information where we can see status and load. So we can move through these tables, explore those as we want. And if we want to go to a particular item, like for example, this one has a warning, we can click and it will take us to that area in the visualization. Okay, so now something else that you can see here in this visualization is another use of edge decorations. So you can see that we have these elements on the edge themselves. So now this is different from those arrowheads that we saw in the model-based engineering product. So again, you can customize for the need of your use case. So in this case, we want to see that this link is protected with a password. And then we can also see that there's a charging level and that it's low as well. So that helps us have that several different levels of detail of information. Okay, now let's add a categorization of information to this network. We see what's connected, but we are not directly showing right now in the visualization, where are these things? Where are these elements in our system? So we can come over here to this tree and we can say group by region or location. Let's go ahead and do a grouping by location. All right, and we're going to refresh our layout and let's zoom in a little bit. So now we can see the elements, and I'll zoom in a little bit more. Our elements are organized by which building they are in. So again, we can see that high level of view with all of the details. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see these edge decorations at work. Those are all placed automatically by the layout algorithms. But let's zoom out here and let's take a zoomed out view. Let's hide some of the details of this network so we don't see so much complexity. So we can select one of those parent nodes and we can collapse all. And now we can see the backbone of our network. And again, we can interactively expand as we want to see the level of detail that we want. Okay, very good. So we looked at several different examples of graph drawings in action. We've seen nested drawings and how to navigate with those. We've seen connectors, edge decorations, labels. Labels, you can have those on nodes. You can have them on edges. And in fact, you can have multiple labels per edge. And you can have them on connectors and edge decorations as well. All right, so now let's go and add some nested drawings to an existing application. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use an application that we showed in our webinar a couple months back. It was a webinar on from complex data to actionable insights with Tom Sawyer Perspectives Graph Platform. So we're looking here at an application that is working with data from a music database. So over here we have a tree that shows us the listing of songs. Again, everything's synchronized. We can click around. It will take us to that element in the graph visualization and also simultaneously down here in the table. Same thing over here. We can also navigate and explore the structure here through the table as well. Anytime that we have an element chosen, we will see more detailed information about that in the inspector here. So we have songs and artists, that type of music information. So let's use nested drawings to give us a categorization of some of the data that we're seeing here. So how are we going to do that? We're going to go to the Perspectives Designer. So this is our low code development environment for graph visualization and analysis applications. And let's just take a really quick look here. So over here, you're going to see the story of your data and your visualizations. So we start with let me see, I need to open the right file here. So we have the story of our data and the visualizations that go with it. So first thing is the schema. What type of data do we have in our application? So we can work with that here in the tree or here in the drawing view as we like. And I'm not going to go into it today, but you can go and look at our YouTube channel for previous webinars and some how-to videos that we have where you can extract the schema automatically from your data source. Okay, so going on over here in the project definition tree, as we call it over here, is where is the data? What are you connecting to? So here in this case, we are connecting to a Tinkerpop data source, and we are using a query to bring data into the model. Then we have the drawing template, which is going to tell us, how do things look? What shape nodes are we using? What colors of nodes are we using? That's defined here. Here's where you define graph analysis and how to apply that to your graph. We're not going to do that today, but join us for another webinar where we'll discuss that. And then here we have our data views. So here is where we've defined our graph visualization drawing view, the table view, the tree view, and then inspector view that had the details in the bottom left corner. We can also define filters and search, which can be applied to the views in our application, and then the use of tags, and then our view layout, which is where you create your dashboard arrangement of your views. So you can see here where we had placed those views that we were just looking at in our application preview. Okay, so now let's add some nested drawings. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is that we need to update our drawing template because we want to create parent nodes to put some nodes into. All right, so first we're going to come over here to node and do an add node template. And we're going to call this a song type node template. It's going to be just a shape. We're going to use just a rectangle. So I'll say, okay. And over here is where we're going to define what the parent node should look like. And down here will be the preview of how things will look in the application. Okay, so first we want to define some text. We want to show something about the parent node. What does the parent node mean? In this case, it's going to mean the song type. So all the songs of a certain type will be placed into a certain parent node. So let's click on this. We're going to open our expression builder, and using the schema that we saw just a little while ago in the schema editor, we're going to take the element in the schema that we want to show as the text on the parent node. So in this case, we want the song type to be shown as the text in the parent node. So there's our expression over here, the song type, and we're going to say OK and OK. All right, and now we're going to come down here and we're going to talk more about how do we want it to look when that parent node is expanded. So first of all, we're going to turn off this transparent background, and we're going to change the background color. Let's do something very different from the blue that we currently have in the application. So I'm going to pick a bright green color. And we are going to put the text for the node on the bottom side. And let's make this text a little bit bigger. So like, for example, let me show you what I mean. So we're going to go ahead in the preview. Okay, so this is what the parent node is going to look like when it's expanded. And then the little drawing that we have will be inside there. Let's make this text down here a little bit bigger so it'll be easier to see. So we're going to click on this and we're going to make this font much bigger. Let's make it a 24. Okay. All right. And then let's go ahead and make that font a different color so it could be a little bit easier to see. So we'll just click on the text color. We're going to pick something really different. Let's pick an orange color. There we go. Okay. And there's what our parent node will look like. Okay. Now let's add those parent nodes to the drawing view. So we're going to go to the drawing view definition, which is down here. Um, and we're going to open up the definition. So, this application that we used in that previous webinar, it had all the things defined, how you define, what the nodes are or what the edges are. That's already here in this application. And by the way, this is it. This is all that you need to see that graph visualization that we just saw here a few minutes ago. Now we need to add the part to have the parent node. So there's a few different steps here. So the first thing is that we have to add the parent node. So in this data, we'll see a couple of different song types. Like for example, is it an original song or is it a cover song? So we need to create a new parent node for those types. So let's do that. So we're going to come over here, Action, and we're going to do Structural, Add Node. So we're going to add a node to our visualization, add one of those rectangle nodes to our visualization. So we're going to do that. And let's update the name so we can keep track of what we're doing here. So add song type as node. All right. And then node ID. So this is just how do we find the information that we need in the model. So we're going to work here with our expression builder. And we're going to have something that is related to that particular song type. So we're going to click that. We're going to say, okay. All right. And so what we've done here is that, in this case, if we have some nodes that are of type original and other nodes that are type of cover, we're going to make exactly two parent nodes. So we won't create too many nodes, and we will only create exactly what the data tells us at runtime, which is what we've done here. And then the template name, how are these parent nodes going to look? So we want to use that new template that we just made, the song type node template, the one with the green. There we go. So we're going to say, okay, all right, done. Okay, now we need to add a child drawing for that node. So we're going to do that. Structural, going to add a child drawing. Um, so first of all, we need the drawing ID. Okay, and it's going to be song type for that particular type. So again, it's going to create just exactly the pieces it needs at runtime given the data. All right, and then it's going to ask for your parent ID. So it's going to ask you, where do you want me to put this child drawing? It's like, okay, well, we want to put cover songs in the cover song parent node. So we're going to do that. Okay, and we can just take that default drawing template. Okay, all right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to tell Perspectives, go ahead and open all of the parent nodes. Go ahead and expand everything. So we'll do a structural, go to expand node, and it's going to ask us which nodes we want to expand. So we want to expand those parent nodes. Those are the ones based on the song type. So we say, okay, do you want it to be expanded? Yes. Okay. All right. Now the next part is how do we get the right nodes into the right nested drawing? So that's our next part. Our next part is we're going to take the nodes, and if they're a particular song type. We're going to put it in the appropriate nested drawing. So we're going to do here and structural, and we're going to do a transfer node to drawing. Okay, so first of all, it's asking, well, which nodes do you want to transfer over here? And so we're going to say, well, we want to transfer all of the ones that came from our original data source. So just this top one. And it's going to ask, well, where do you want to put them? And so we can use our reference again. It's going to help us out. And this is where we're going to put it into that parent node that's of the right type. Okay, and you see how everything turned to the green check marks, which means that we have the information that we need. Okay, good. All right, now one more thing to do is to set the layout style of those nested drawings. So we want to go ahead and define that to be orthogonal, just like we had in our original application. So we'll come down here and layout properties and set drawing layout properties. And we want to choose the layout style to be orthogonal. Okay, so now one of the uh, advanced capabilities of perspectives is to be able to have particular settings for your layout algorithms. And we're not going to get into those today, but you can have several different types of settings. And here is where you can define which ones that you want to use when you're running your application. But we're not going to use those today. We'll leave that for another day. All right, so we're going to hit OK. And Perspectives told us you have a problem here. Something's in red. So drawing ID, it's asking us which drawing do we want to have orthogonal layout on. So let's just double click that. And we're going to do a reference. And we want it to be on that new child drawing that we just created. Okay. Now the red has gone away, so things are good. All right, so just taking a quick look back at what we did here today. So we built upon this first item, which was already done before we started our application, because that was existing from our previous webinar application, where we bring all the nodes into the drawing that we have from our data source. Then we're going to create those special nodes for the nested drawings. So we need to have a parent node for each type of song, which is what we've done here. And then for each one of those, we allow a child drawing to be put into it. So we can do that expand or collapse or drill up, drill down, like we saw before. Here is where we are going to tell Perspectives, go ahead and open those parent nodes for us. When we see the visualizations, we want those to be open. And then here's the part where we take those nodes that we have loaded in and put them into the correct nested drawing. And then this last step here is just where we defined the layout style. So let's open our web preview and go take a look. All right, so now you see that bright green color from the drawing template that we defined just a few minutes ago. And so if we zoom in, we'll see that orange text that we created, that here we have original songs. And let's zoom out. And over here, in this parent node, we have the cover songs. All of the nodes which didn't have a song type category are placed over here in that drawing. So now we've taken that original data and we've added a level of categorization. So we can very quickly find which are the original songs and which are the cover songs, because they're in their particular category, as we see here. And you'll see that when I highlighted that parent node, it also highlighted for me in the tree view and over here in the table view which ones are the cover songs. So you have several different perspectives on the same data, so you can get different kinds of insights. All right, so we're looking at an orthogonal layout, but there's several types of layouts, and so there's a couple others that might be helpful for us here. So let's take a look at the bundle layout, where, and this is the same data, we're just changing the layout style. Bundle layout is where we are going to go in and we will intelligently bundle edges together, as you can see here, so that you can have a more dense graph visualization in a smaller space. We also can use hierarchical layout. So let's take a look here as well. And so it's another way to see the same type of grouping. So that's what we have in our webinar today. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we discussed what graph drawings are. We worked with several different types of examples to see nested drawings, connectors, jump overs, labels, and then we applied nested drawings to an existing application so that we can see how easy it is to use perspectives to add nested drawings to your application. So please see our YouTube channel for recordings of our webinars and also for more how-to videos. Please contact us today at tomsawyer.com to start your free trial of Perspectives or to schedule a call with one of our graph and data visualization experts. I will be glad to help guide you to your best solution.